So I think we've come to the conclusion that Splatoon 2's single-player campaign is a whole lot of more of the same from Splatoon 1. But considering the sales differences between the two and the console jump, like, I always figured it was kinda justified, etc, etc. We went over all this already in the Octo Canyon portion. But now, everyone's playing Splatoon 2, and in an effort to push more downloadable content during the Switch era, Nintendo said, hey, not only will Splatoon 2 itself get the regular free updates like stages, weapons, and Splatfests, but now there's gonna be a full new single-player mode as paid DLC. Introducing Octo Expansion, a name that really works on multiple levels. Obviously, there's expansion for adding new content, but also when it comes to the shockingly deep Splatoon lore, this is also expanding the in-game world to finally let the Octolings be playable and participate in turf wars. Considering the seemingly endless battle between the Inklings and the formerly known as Octarians, the developers figured that we needed some additional context in order to mend those broken bridges, so to speak. What, is this endless war just gonna fix itself and then, hey, look at that, you can play as the enemy now, cool, don't worry about it, don't ask questions. No, we need a whole story for this. On top of that, this mode also allows for a much darker atmosphere. Pearl and Marina to get their own time to shine here since they were basically MIA for the entirety of Octo Canyon. And gameplay-wise, this added a shocking amount of variety to all of the objectives. You may have often heard that Octo Expansion is the best single-player mode in the series to date, and yeah, I'm gonna echo that same sentiment. And now, let's go into why. Welcome to part 3 of the Splatoon single-player retrospective, Octo Expansion. First off, to start off this DLC adventure, you have to go into this subway entrance back in the main hub world. I think that's kinda cool. In this adventure, you play as an Octoling with amnesia named Agent 8, and you are found by Captain Cuttlefish down in the Deep Sea Metro. You almost forget that Cuttlefish had 0 appearances in the main campaign, so hey, here he is. So what had happened was Captain and Agent 3, the hero from the first Splatoon campaign, were fighting in Octo Valley before they were attacked. 3 is currently missing, and Captain is here, where he found Agent 8, etc. You get it. And Cuttlefish mentions that when he found you, you were humming the Calamari incantation. As I mentioned earlier in this retrospective, a lot goes back to that original battle against DJ Octavio. This is a similar story to Marina, who they witnessed that fight, and they witnessed that song being sung by the Squid Sisters and felt inspired to break out of their chains of being stuck underground. So okay, you come to, and now it's time to figure out where you are and how to escape, because you want to make it out in one piece with Cuttlefish by your side, sure. And already, as someone who grew up in a big city, I love this subway aesthetic. Like, oh man, it's so dark and grungy, and I love it so much. You have a little bit of a tutorial section, and then you soon find a talking telephone who promises you that they can go to the quote promised land to be free, but to do so, they have to collect 4 things around this underground deep sea metro. And thanks to being able to travel around by Sea Cucumber, which is god, that name is incredible, and the CQ80 mobile device, you can hit up a bunch of different areas in this nice underground map and get the things that you need to escape. Pearl and Marina also pop in too to help you reach the surface, and that's cool. I'm really glad that they're here, and they have like classic 90s rapper attire, and oh god, it's so cool. There's like a lot of 90s like references in terms of like the aesthetic. It's just, I love it. I love how they look here. It's so cool. It gives them so much more personality as opposed to just being like the Squid Sisters 2. Like they didn't really show up in the main campaign of 2 at all, but here, this is all they needed. Like, I love them. As you progress, the subway train also gets filled with a lot of like really wacky NPCs that are just there standing around going wherever they need to go. And I love these designs so much because they're all just, like, I don't want to stare at them for too long. You know, these are people that if you stare at them for too long, they might try and gut you like a fish. But then you just stand there and walk around them, and some of them are just napping, some of them are just goopy, and oh man, the character design here is exquisite. But the only other character that really gets like a name is Iso Padre. These names are incredible, and he is there to facilitate a new collectible, these mem cakes. They're basically little racers that you can exchange to him for new gear. There's no upgrade system this time around. This is it. You can argue whether or not like having collectibles would have been a good or bad thing. I wasn't as huge into looking around every nook and cranny in the main campaign, so having it here in this format, I like it better. Granted, a lot of my love is just because he's called Iso Padre. Brilliant. But then we move on to the gameplay loop, and it is a totally different structure than anything we've dealt with before, and the style complements it because, oh man, it's so cool. Once again, darker aesthetics. Once again, there's pop culture with neon signs. There's a lot of vaporwave going on. It's so cool. They locked in so hard when they made this game stick out more than the main campaign. and I love it. And as far as the levels go, well, there are 80 of them. You get to them by navigating these train station lines, and this means that it's no longer a linear path. You go down these lines, and occasionally you will unlock cross paths to other lines, so everything is kind of interweaving into itself. Basically, there's no one right way to do this. There's probably a speedrun way to access the thangs sections like way faster than anything else, but you really have total freedom with how you go about this. You go into a mission, and a lot of times you have a choice of weapon when you enter, so that's cool. Rather than it just automatically giving you a new weapon every time, you can choose what you want to do. There is a recommended one, so usually I just go with that, but once again, the choice is nice. But a lot of times, whatever. The missions themselves are totally different. You do have the usual obstacle challenges, and you have returning enemies too, but now they're sanitized, so they're covered in green and they're scary now. Ooh. But it's the same basic idea of like, you start here, you gotta figure out and puzzle solve and attack enemies along the way, and then boom, you make it to the end, easy peasy, cool. There are returning bosses as well, and these are sanitized too, but these guys, they're actually a lot harder. When you look at the Octo Stomp, he's faster and gets more shields. The Octo Oven now has its tentacle protected, so you gotta tackle some enemies before you do some major damage. The Octo Shower boss, you fight exclusively by using the Jet sub-weapon, and the Octo Samurai, you do the same thing, but with the Baller. That level of restriction really forces you to rethink your strategies for these otherwise pretty straightforward bosses, and that is so cool. There's even a secret boss if you push through all the challenges. Do you want to go up for the challenge? I don't know. It is a pretty cool boss. I actually don't want to spoil it, even though like it's already years old, but it's a pretty cool fight. But it's all about these different mission structures that pop up all the time. I mentioned the forced specials for some of the bosses, but that forced special idea, those are fun. There's a lot where there's zero combat and exploration whatsoever. They're matching block structures, where there's a 3D block structure on the left, and on the right, you see a bunch of blocks that you have to destroy, so you have to do so meticulously to match the sides. That's really cool. There's a handful of dodging challenges where you're just being bombarded by enemies and bullets for like a few minutes, and then you just gotta make sure you survive. There's other time limit challenges that you just need to be efficient with how you play. There's a lot of 8-ball challenges where you're pushing 8 balls down these paths and you have to get the 8-ball all the way to the end. There's a lot of target busting minigames that pop up, and just, man, the variety is absurd. I'm sorry, but pushing an 8-ball around this dark and creepy area, and if you look out on the horizon, there's like floating bubble tape. This is one of the greatest things in the entire franchise so far. The difficulty has also been ramped up a good bit as well. It's not overly challenging, but just challenging enough to amplify the notion of, once again, you're not forced to do any of these missions. If you feel like this one mission is what you need to do in order to get to the path you want to go to and you just can't do it, okay, well, that sucks. I guess find a different path to make it there, because you can do that. Plus, because there's no more collectibles or upgrades to worry about, you're not really thinking about exploring in these areas because you really can't anyway. Your mind is primarily focused on these new and unique objectives. I do kind of wish that they weren't gotten rid of altogether. I would have preferred them try to figure out how to make the collectibles more fun to find, rather than just like for this DLC getting rid of them entirely. But because of how new and fresh this still feels, I'm okay with it. And it's important to keep in mind that this is DLC. This deserves an absolute gold star in the attempt to take the original formula, which is already getting criticisms of being too similar to the first game, and spicing up the visuals and the atmosphere, filling the levels with so much variety. It is still technically a level pack at the end of the day, but it's way more engaging because you never really know what the next mission will entail. Plus the subway map idea, like, God, that's still so cool. And of course the music is once again fantastic, but what I really love about a lot of the sound direction is that since a lot of these missions are not really combat focused, there are now levels with songs that are just pure atmosphere, where you can just vibe out and enjoy your surroundings. It's another commitment to the different vibe of Octo Expansion, and it is perfectly clear why this has gotten so much praise over the years. They got the feeling that when they were making the Octo Canyon campaign, it was going to be way too similar to Octo Valley, and to settle anyone's fears that they're already running out of ideas, they have this, which is just idea overload. Going through Octo Expansion makes me appreciate Octo Canyon a lot more, because I believe both of these campaigns complement each other perfectly. But okay, the atmosphere and the variety is all well and good. There's still an objective, an overall objective that you're working towards, finding these 4 magical fangs. And it's kind of cool, because when you do find one, it does feel like an accomplishment. You go into a level like it's any other mission, but instead all you're greeted with is a staircase that you walk up, and then boom, there's the thing. It feels like a proper reward. It's very satisfying to get them. And it doesn't take long to figure out that you're just getting pieces of a blender. That's weird. But okay, it's very clear that anything goes in this world, so why not? You get all 4 things, the blender builds itself, and the telephone tells you to get in so you can now, quote, ascend to a higher plane of existence. It's a teleporter, I guess, right? Nope, it's a trap, stupid. Oh, this ain't gonna be good. But suddenly, Agent 3 is here. Oh my god, fan service. 3 did his part. He saved your butt. And now, thanks to the hole in the ceiling that he left you, Agent 8 can super jump on out of there and make your way to the surface where Agent 3 came from. And now, it's time for an escape sequence. This is the only part of the campaign that's linear. You are now presented with a handful of linear challenge levels, and you start off with no weapons. You start off with the stealth section, which not only entails you sticking in the ink a whole lot of the time, but also not going so fast, because if you go too fast, you make noise, you make splashy sounds. That's not good. You gotta run. It's so ominous and eerie here. It's still dark like a whole lot of the other campaign is, but now there's just a light humming for the music in the background. The enemies, they all have death in their eyes. They're ready to kill you at first sight. You gotta make it out of there. You got stealth sections, you got platforming, you got dodging lasers, you do combat against a sanitized Agent 3. Oh my goodness, 1v1 combat, this is crazy. Takes like a good half hour, 45 minutes to get through all of this too. Like, it's a pretty substantial portion, but it's so satisfying to make your way through these areas. And eventually, of course, you make it to the top. Are you safe? Of course not. The telephone is still here, and you find out that this is Commander Tartar, an AI that was made thousands of years ago to pass on human knowledge to the next species. But it's, Tartar's opinion that this species of the Inklings and the Octarians, this ain't it. This ain't it, you guys are too stupid. This is the only thing that decides that. So now he decides, okay, he's now gonna take this giant human statue and destroy the Earth and recreate life in a way that he sees fit. This is crazy. But then Pearl and Marina show up, hooray! And Marina has beautiful MS Paint skills. Look at her go. Oh, it's beautiful. But okay, this ragtag duo has a plan. The only way to take down this giant human statue is to cover it with ink. And that's gonna be too difficult to do with just a standard ink gun. Thankfully, they have prototype bombs that she is going to throw on the statue in different intervals, and it's up to you, Agent 8, in a short time limit to detonate every single bomb. The only way to truly save the day is to give Pearl enough time to train her vocal cords to do one big old booyah bomb. So now, oh man, the stakes are as high as they've ever been. Go. And then what ensues is like the best 3 minutes of Splatoon ever, and I don't know if they'll top it, and God, if they ever do, that'd be fantastic. First off, it begins with the turf war screen, and just throwing more multiplayer components of Splatoon into the single player is such a neat idea. And then for 3 minutes, you're just going crazy. You're exploring every little corner of the statue that thankfully there is a map that does show you where these little bombs are, but still, time is tight. You only have 3 minutes to do this. And on top of that, the music. Oh, brother. Listen, man, Calamari Incantation, good song, I get it, it's like a big theme song in this franchise, but Fly Octo Fly, transitioning into Ebb and Flow, this is the greatest song in this franchise, man. I love this so much. It's so high energy, it matches the intensity of this 3 minute time limit perfectly. Looking off in the horizon, you're seeing the sunrise too. There are these helicopters that are floating around, like, dude, everything about this is, I love it. Plus 3 minutes is how long a typical turf war takes, and again, the commitment to the bit is so admirable. I love that. And then you have 60 seconds left. The music gets super good when it gets to the ebb and flow portion. You could be like me and you can die once and see that the world is over. This is traumatizing. We're not gonna let that be the final story. And when you nail it, oh, it just feels so good. I got the final bomb with only a few seconds left. I felt like a king. And then this final cutscene, dude. Like, as you're about to land on the helicopter platform, you do a super jump away. I think that's super sick. And then Pearl finally has her vocal cords charged up. Her hair starts to glow because she has an actual special, like in the in-game turf wars. She lays out one massive booyah bomb. It does the good guys versus bad guy thing. And oh my God, it's so cool. It's so sick. This is the only time in this series where you feel like a badass. Screw you, Commander Tartar. But you did leave such a lasting good impression. A telephone as a boss. Crazy. Marina hugs the crap out of Pearl, Captain Cuttlefish celebrates, Agent 3 wakes up, and Agent 8 smiles. Such a good pose. They know they're all free now. Credits. So good, man. This credit sequence is just lovely. I love the song that plays here. And once you're done, you, the Octarian, get dropped off at Inkopolis Square. You have unlocked the ability to play as an Octarian in multiplayer. There's no additional extra lore like in the Sunken Scrolls, and there's no arcade games that you can play. It's just a really good single-player campaign. If you want to go for all 80 levels, it takes a long time too. Like, there's quite a few hours you can put into this campaign that it's remarkable how much better this is than the one that's already built into the game. I still think at the end of the day, I would love a single player campaign that's not just a level pack, even with it just being a bunch of wildly different objectives. But if we're gonna stick to Splatoon single player being this level pack idea, this sets the bar in terms of variety and aesthetics and storytelling. All of the praise you've heard for Octo Expansion is warranted. If you have Splatoon 2 and have not played Octo Expansion yet, and if you have access to the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass because they've made this one of the only free DLC packs that you get by having a subscription, give this a shot. It's so good. Even if you think the normal campaigns are too similar, you're in for a treat. This is peak Splatoon gameplay. And if you're thinking to yourself, boy, I can't wait to see how they up their game in Splatoon 3, they don't do that. It's not bad, but they don't do that. I guess I'm excited to go into Splatoon 3. If you're still watching this retrospective, prove it by putting a booyah in the chat. I'd appreciate it.